afternoon, folks. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Lee, your virtual airline pilot's back with you again with the second of this week's reviews. I apologise for the delay in this one. I had problems getting this airport to display with the initial download, but thanks to the developer very kindly sent me this version free of charge so that I could review it, and my thanks to him and for helping me get it sorted out. Okay, so where are we? We're back in Saudi Arabia again. This is the second airport review for this country. And we're at Dammam Airport, King Fahd Airport in Saudi Arabia, Oscar Echo Delta Foxtrot. This is a payware scenery by TUWAIQ Designs. That's spelled TUWAIQ Designs. Not really sure how to say it. But this is version 1.1 for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. I've checked Marketplace, it's also available there, so there's a good chance this scenery is available for Xbox. However, it's also available, there's a version available for Flight Simulator 2024 as well. The download comes in at 4.34 gigs, and the install is quite substantial. It's between 16 and 18 gigs. The original download that I had that didn't work for me, but that seems to have worked for others, came in at around 16 gigs. The download I got that you see in front of me that works is 18 gigs, so it's a substantial product. I think most of this is due to the unique photographic terrain that you see as well. Scenery is available currently from SimMarket, and as I said, it looks like the same thing is available in the marketplace eventually, so it might be available for you Xbox users. The price comes in at €26.39, which equates to roughly $27.71 US, or £22.21 UK. As ever, US and UK prices are estimates taken from the euro, and they include tax or VAT at 20%, which of course could vary depending on your country of purchase. Let's say right off the bat, this is a fairly substantial scenery. And by substantial I mean it's quite large, not only in gig size in the installation, but there's a fair amount of sort of photo scenery and terrain that's gone in here to make it look the way it does, which gives quite a good effect, as you can see from this high level shot. However, that does come at a little bit of a cost. I mean, there is a little bit of a frame rate issue. I need to fly in here and check it. I've actually got the Phoenix 320 down on the stand, which we'll see in the Jetway test, and there is a bit of judders here and there, especially when you get close to the airport here, but I don't think it's too bad, and it will vary depending on how you go. But anyway, there you go. It's a substantial product, and it looks, now that it's working and displaying correctly, it looks quite nice, and I'm quite pleased with what I've seen so far. So let's look at features. Okay, so features. Here are the features as listed. We have an ultra-realistic airport model. It's accurate terminal designs, control tower, hangars, the Royal Terminal with interior, and cargo areas modelled with stunning attention to detail. PBR textures, physically based rendering textures for true-to-life reflections and materials, enhancing the visual depth and realism of every structure. Custom ground textures, high-resolution textures for runways, taxiways and aprons, capturing the wear and tear, markings and surface variations seen in the real-world operations. Dynamic night lighting, immersive night environment with realistic lights on taxiways, aprons and terminal areas, making for dramatic and visually striking night effects. GSX objects. Integrated GSX objects including ground vehicles, air stairs, jetways and service carts to improve the immersion and provide accurate ground handling operations. Now, I didn't see a separate GSX profile, so I believe it's included in the scenery. We'll have a look at some point. But as you'll see with the Jetway test, I can confirm that GSX works really well at this airport. So we've got a lot of high detail showing, a lot of it in high resolution. And as I said, it does come at a cost somewhat, but it's still, for me, it still marks as a really, really good looking airport in terms of the way it looks. So let's have a look at history now. So history. Dammam, King Fahd International Airport, Oscar Echo Delta Foxtrot, also known as Dammam International Airport or King Fahd Airport, is a public use international airport owned by the General Authority of Civil Aviation, that's the GACA, and operated by Dammam Airports Company. The airport serves the city of Dammam in Saudi Arabia. The airport is located 19 miles or 31 kilometers northwest of downtown Dammam and is named after the former king of Saudi Arabia, FAHD bin Abdul Aziz, who ruled between 1921 and 2005. The airport serves the entire eastern province of Saudi Arabia and is one of 4 primary international airports in the kingdom. After its construction, the airport became a US airbase used primarily during the Gulf War. The airport has been overseeing commercial operations since November 1999 and has since expanded to provide connections to 43 destinations. Before King Fahd International, the primary airport serving the region was the much busier Dammam International Airport, which has been converted for military use and is now designated King Abdul Aziz Air Base. During the COVID epidemic, operations were suspended, only resuming with domestic flights in May 2020 and international flights in May 2021. Over 10 million passengers use the airport year on year, with some 37 airlines operating into and out of the airport. The airport has 3 terminal buildings. The passenger terminal serves as mainstream passengers, while the ARAMCO terminal is used solely by employees to board ARAMCO flights. Finally, the Royal Terminal, which we're looking at now, is reserved for the sole use of the Saudi royal family. The busiest route is between Dammam and Dubai, with over 65 flights per week, an average of about 9 per day. So there you go, there's a brief history for you. And we've just taken some pictures of the various locations around the airport. Let's now look at the runway situation here. Okay, so runways. Dammam Airport operates 2 main runways, 34 right, 16 left, and 34 left, 16 right, and they both measure 13,123 feet, or 4,000 meters, and both being made from asphalt. The airport lies at an elevation of just 75 feet or 23 meters and sits within the GMT UTC plus 3 hours time zone. Now, Saudi Arabia does not observe daylight saving time or DST, and with the UK now back on GMT, the airport remains 3 hours ahead of the UK. So all 4 runway ends, both runways, feature high intensity runway lighting, airfield lighting with sequence flashing lights, centerline lighting, touchdown zone lighting and precision approach path indicators on the left side. Now here we are looking down the throat of 34 left. The approach lighting is here, it's as per the chart, that's correct. There's the touchdown zone lighting, the centerline PAPI's on the left. The only addition here, which isn't on the charts but is in the scenery as you can see here, is the runway end identifier lighting system that's flashing here. But apart from that, certainly this area looks perfectly acceptable. So let's switch to 34 right. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 34 right, and as you can see, exactly the same on 34 right as at 34 left. PAPI's on the left, touchdown zone, centerline, the approach lighting system here, and again we have the runway end identifier lights included, not on the charts but here in the scenery. Approach options for both 34 left and 34 right. You have a standard instrument landing system, an RNP approach option and a VOR approach option. So let's go up the other end and have a look at 16 left. Okay, so here we are looking at runway 16 left, and again as you can see you've got the approach lighting system here, the centerline, the touchdown zone, PAPI's on the left, and again they've left the runway end identifier lighting system in as well. So that's all correct. Approach options for 16 left, you have a standard instrument landing system and an RNP approach option. There's no VOR approach option for this runway 16 left. So let's hop across to 16 right. And here we are looking at 16 right, the last of the 4 runway ends, and as you can see, just exactly the same as at the other end there at 16 left. Approach lighting, centerline, touchdown zone, PAPI's on the left, and again they've left the runway end identifier lighting system in the scenery. So no real complaints. Runway 16 right, you have the standard instrument landing system as per the left one, And you also have the RNP approach option, but the right one, this one, also has the VOR approach option attached to it. So 16 left over here doesn't have the VOR approach option, 16 right does. But essentially you have an instrument landing system at all 4 runway ends, which is really helpful. And everything's pretty much as per the charts. So that does it for runways. As you can see, everything is there, it's all custom made, and to be honest, it looks pretty nice even at this time of the day. Can't wait to see what the whole place looks like at dusk. But for the moment, let's get into the Jetway test. Okay, so Jetways, so here we are on stand 18. This is my Phoenix Airbus A320 parked on the stand. Let's do a Jetway test. Okay, so there it goes. Stairs are going into the concrete, which is quite normal, and that looks to have gone right through the skin. The sounds are pretty good, but yeah, that looks okay from here. Let's get up close and have a closer look. Okay, so from this view you can see that the aircraft is on the center line, and it's also on the marker. I've spawned directly from the menu, so that's pretty good. The Jetway has gone up to the aircraft right up close, which is fine, but you can also see the hood has gone through the skin here. So here's an overview of the Jetway itself, which looks really quite impressive. Visually it's a real tour de force. I mean, this has been really nicely done here, and you can see the weathering is excellent down here. Stairwell, I mean, it's gone into the concrete, but not by much actually. And the wheels have moved correctly, but all of the detail is there. As far as customized Jetway, it looks brilliant. So let's have a look from the other side there. So looking from this side, I mean, it doesn't look too bad at all. It's gone right up to the side of the aircraft, but not gone through it, but it might have done a bit here. We'll have a look in a minute. They've even got the 2 lights on the end of the Jetway, which is really good. And here you can see the weathering and the detail here up close, which is quite impressive. So let's get inside the doorway and see what we can see. Okay, so here's the view from inside the doorway. Well, it's really good. The detail is great. It's wonderful to have an engineer here. You've got the dispatcher here operating the Jetway, and it's great. And the doors are open as well, so it's pretty well set up for GSX and the passengers. The only problem is, of course, here you can see the door is opened and gone through the side here, because the Jetway is slightly misaligned, and here we can see evidence of the hood having gone through that side. And here you can clearly see the hood has gone through the side of the aircraft here at this end. Let's have a look out from inside the aircraft. Now, to be honest, that's a really good view. That's probably the best view from inside the aircraft looking out and up the Jetway that I've seen so far. It's a pity about the frame rate. It is pretty heavy, but I don't think it's unmanageable as such. But I mean, if they were to just get the Jetway connection more accurate when you've spawned the aircraft, you might be able to do this. Obviously, if you're parking up here, you can move the aircraft or park the aircraft with respect to the Jetway probably a little bit better. But spawning from the menu, we get this business where the hood has gone through the aircraft and it's not quite aligned, so that when the door opens it goes into the side of the Jetway, which is a pity. But here, I mean, you're looking at a view up the corridor. It's going to be great for GSX and watching the passengers go up there. So here we are inside the cabin, and you can clearly see the Jetway hood has gone right through the skin of the aircraft and at the top as well, which is a pity, but there you go. And here in the flight deck you can see exactly the same thing has happened, unfortunately. However, as I said, you know, notwithstanding the fact that this has gone into the cabin quite significantly, which is a pity, and the door is infringed, although it's not sticking out here, the structure of the inside of the Jetway where the engineer is at the control panel is such that obviously the door's opened and it's interfered with that structure. I mean, if they could fix that, that would be great. We're looking here, you can see the aircraft is properly on the center line, the nose wheel is on the mark, so we're pretty much spawned correctly. So I'd like to see that structure sorted out inside there where the door can come out and not interfere with the structure of the Jetway. But visually this is impressive. It really is. So let's disconnect it. As ever, the hood springs back and the door closes. And there you can see the jetway fully retracts. Now you can see the weathered end of the jetway, and we can see the doors have closed. So this is another really good feature. And you've got the two lights on the end here. It'd be interesting to see if they light up during the dusk hours. So what's to say about this jetway? I mean, it's remarkably good, to be honest. Visually, it's a tour de force. It's weathered, it's properly constructed, it looks great, and it connects pretty reasonably. I like the fact that you can see through the glass. I also like the fact that the doors close when it's away, but they're open when it's close to the aircraft. It's something I'd like to see featured in scenery a lot more, especially as people are now using GSX a lot more. Yeah, but if they can sort out the structure in here with respect to the guy operating it, such that when the door opens it doesn't interfere with the structure, and who knows, maybe if they can work a little bit more on the hood, you've got an almost perfect jetway. But visually it looks brilliant. So there you go, folks, that was the jetway test. Let's get down to the airport proper and have a good look and see what it's like. Okay, welcome back. So I've changed the lighting a little bit. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I think this looks quite pleasant. Obviously this video is also a chance to try and show the scenery off at its best. It looks fairly bland at midday, but starts to look a bit better as the sun lowers a little bit. Okay, so the airport is split into 5 aprons, with the 5th apron being noted as apron 8. So apron 1 is the main terminal area here. Apron 2 is the cargo area, which is across here on the other side, and we'll look at that in a moment. Apron 3 is the royal area, or the royal apron, which is right down here. And apron 4 is this apron here, which is additional parking here at the north end, adjacent runway 16 left threshold. And then finally apron 5 is this area here, which is the ARAMCO terminal. So we'll start this review by going down this side, southbound, to go past these areas and have a close look at them. We'll also stop and look at the Royal Suite, because there is some development there. And then we'll come back up the other side. Now, as I've said in the introduction, there are some sort of frame rate issues here, mainly because of the complexity of the scenery, but we'll see how we go using the drone camera. So here below us you've got apron 4, additional parking here right next to 16 left. And then here we've got the ARAMCO terminal. And again, you've got mostly photo scenery here, and you've got this little area here, but as you can see, the terminal ramp's been quite nicely done. Okay, you've got fairly low resolution landside part. They've got a car park there. But let's have a close look at this part. So here's an overview shot showing you that ramp. You've got various parking areas which helicopters can use, as well as aircraft parking. And the building's nicely modelled. You've got these great big lamps as well. Interesting to see how they look in the darkness. So here's the ARAMCO building, airside, and you've also got the same name in Arabic, which is a nice touch. And the building looks nice. And here's a look at that other building. Landside, not much to speak about, but it's there. So there you've got the car park to the left for the ARAMCO building. As we continue south, you've got here what looks like a solar energy plant. Again, nicely modelled, nothing to write home about, but it's there and it's included. Not a huge facility. And then we come down here to the 3rd apron, known as apron 8. And this is the Royal Suite, or the Royal Terminal. And here you'll find some pretty nice modelling. He's done a nice job with this. So there's the Royal Terminal. As you can see, they've got jetways as well, 4 of them. And the ramp has been nicely done. And there's a look at it sort of looking towards the southwest. And there we are looking at the Royal Terminal from landside. Not much has been done, but you've got here the lead-in road from landside that goes in towards the terminal. All done kind of photo scenery, bit low resolution. So let's pop inside the Royal Terminal. Apparently there is some development inside here. Let's see what we've got. So here you can see he's done the interior very basically. You've got the photos of the various sheikhs and kings that have ruled here in the Saudi Kingdom. And as you can see, nicely modelled interior, but done fairly basically. No people, no Arab figures, which would have been nice to see. But there's a view of the outside part of the terminal airside. You've got this carpet, which normally would be red, but in this country they choose to use the blue carpet. Goes into the terminal and the various little markings. Again, nice modelling, really nothing to write home about, but nothing to complain about either. Very, very nice. And there, a quick overview of the stands. So we travelled to the western side of the airport to start our tour north towards the main terminal area, going across runway 34 left below us. And to begin with, you've got the fuel farm there on the other side, the western side of the airport, and coming up to it now. And the terrain looks okay, you know, it looks quite reasonable enough. I can see what they've been attempting to do. Unfortunately, there is a trade-off with the frame rate, but as you can see out here, away from the terminal area, the frame rate isn't too bad at all. So here we've got the fuel farm. So as we travel north away from the fuel farm, you've got runway 34 left there on the left side, and we go towards the terminal area, and this is where it starts to get a bit frame rate issues, so to speak, but actually it's not too bad. But the ground markings are pretty much as per the real airport. He's done quite a nice job in trying to mimic this correctly. There's a control tower on the right, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. But here you've got the main ramp, all of the stands, all of the ground markings. And to be honest, you know, the frame rate isn't too bad. Could be a lot worse. I think it's going to be a lot better just looking from inside the aircraft cockpit. There's my aircraft parked on stand 18. And there you can see the stands as we go past them. Oh, there's a fair amount of detail. We'll have a closer look in a minute. And here you can see it's a lot smoother as we come up towards the cargo area. Again, some nice detail here. The buildings are fine, plenty of ramp space, so you cargo haulers are well catered for here. And it's all pretty good. I mean, it's basic, it's not been thoroughly modelled into the terrain below it. The buildings are very blockish, but it's fine, it looks okay. So FedEx and UPS below us. And various buildings. I mean, it's fine. So we track over the buildings and go towards landside now to have a look. As you can see, there's a really heavy reliance on low resolution ground textures. I mean, it works better the higher up you go. But the building detail's fine, texturing's good, the buildings are quite nice quality. And pretty much every sort of road, taxiway, has been included. The airport's been quite nicely modelled. To be honest, the frame rate could be a lot better, but apart from that, that's really the only complaint I've got at the moment. Or as you can see, I mean, it would help. It helps to defrag your drive and to clear out any clutter. But here we are at the main terminal landside, and you can see a nice job has been done, really. The building itself is excellent. And it's a pity, really, that you've taken the trouble to model all of this, but it would have been nice to model the roads that go with it and all this area in 3D rather than rely on photo scenery, because it would look better. That's just my opinion, but I have no complaints about the building. I mean, the building structure, even the weathering on it, looks really good. So here's the departures area on the upper level, and strangely enough, I mean, this actually looks better here, but you've got no road markings, no people, no cars. I mean, it's difficult to say about adding those things that we expect to see in many of the other really good sceneries, because of course we've already got this frame rate issue. But I don't know, if the scenery is optimised further and the frame rate gets better, then it would be really nice to see some people, Arabic passengers and some taxis and things parked out here. You see, you've got the detail here with the building and everything marked here, but it just looks a bit like a ghost town. And there you've got the main entrance to international departures on the upper level. But here you see on the lower level, the arrivals area, I've got all these wonderful signs here, but the ground itself, the roadway, it just lacks it really, it just isn't there because it's not been modelled in 3D. So this, I believe, is the multi-storey car park. So I'm up close and can't really see any cars or see into it, but it's got building scaffolding around it, so it's clearly being worked on. Well, actually, I think I'm wrong. It's not a multi-storey car park, it's actually a building. And as you can see here, you've got scaffolding because you've got windows here, so clearly this is some kind of hotel. But unfortunately, as you can see, there's nothing on the building to mark just to say what it is. You've got this red light flashing here, but there's nothing on the building to tell you whether it's a hotel or what name of the hotel it might be. So let's check out the control tower. Nice modelling, and it's good to have the lights there as well. And here from the outside you can see there is internal development of a basic sort. Let's have a look at the upper level first. So, basic internal development here in the tower, no people, but various screens and displays. And there we're looking out across the airport there from the other side. And there's a view looking southwest. Okay, so here we are, close up on the stand. I've changed the time up to about 3 o'clock, 2:30. To get the sun off there so we can have a proper look at what's available here. As you can see, the stand's disconnected the Jetway's disconnected at the moment. And there you can see the end of the Jetway, and you've got the dispatch engineer there, the operator, and the doors are open. And that's because I actually connected the Jetway, and the Jetway's actually gone back without me doing it. But normally when the aircraft door is closed and the Jetway is fully removed, these doors are closed, as you can see by some of the other end Jetways. So that's a nice feature. So here we are at the stand. Generally you can see you've got the aircraft markation line here, which is good. Here you've got various bits of clutter. You've got the shutter doors going into the baggage areas airside below the building. Here's the airside road, which has been done in 3D, which is nice. Here you've got the fuel drainage point, so when they hook up the fuel to the aircraft, that's where they would do it. And the building itself, I mean, looks great, it really does. So there's a look down the airside road. I mean, as you can see, it's been nicely done. I mean, so there are really no complaints about the way it looks. It's just a pity that the frame rate suffers. to somewhat, but it's not as bad as it could be, to be honest. It could be a lot worse. And as I've gone through the scenery, the frame rate has improved slightly. Like I said, if you defrag the drive that your simulator is on, and you clear out the clutter using a thing, something like CCleaner, will clear out all the temporary files, then the frame rate will improve slightly. But as you can see, the stand detail is excellent. Really got no complaints about it at all. The modelling is wonderful. And there we are looking in the other direction. I mean, it's great. I've really got no complaints about it at all. So there's a high level overview. Looking south, and you've got the airport name there in Arabic. And there we are looking towards the north, and you've got the airport name in English. So let's pop into the terminal airside and see if there's any internal development. I'm not sure that there is, but it's worth a look. So as you can see, the structure has been built, but not much in the way of internal development. They're looking south and looking north. So it's all pretty basic. But there you go. So a quick look at some of the ground markings here. As you can see, we've got blue airfield edge lights here. Can't see any green centerline lights, but you've got these little signs as well, which again are at the airport, and they're in English and Arabic. And again, you have one on the other side. So just moving up towards the cargo area, there you've got the fire station on the right, which has been nicely modelled, complete with fire engines. Not much in the way of taxiway signage, apart from those signs there saying watch for aircraft. But no real signage on the taxiway denoting taxiway letters or anything like that. So there's a little close look at the cargo centre for those of you that are interested in cargo. I mean, the buildings are nice. They're really just kind of blocks, but at the end of the day they're modelled, and fairly nicely modelled. The stands are well delineated here, and you've got separate lighting for each stand, so that's going to be a big help. And here you've got the CATREON building, which is the catering centre, I believe. And there you've got catering vehicles down there below. Okay, so that was a look around the airport during the daytime. Let's drop it down to dusk now and have a look at the lighting. Okay, just after 5:30 in the evening, and lights came on about 5 minutes ago. Very interesting to see that the lighting was actually graduated from about 5:30 till 5:35. Over that 5 minutes the lighting gradually improved here on the stand, which is nice. It's nice to see graduated lighting rather than it just literally switching on. As you can see, provided by the main overhead light stands. And interestingly enough, now we can see green centerline lights, which we couldn't see during the day, but you can now see during the darkness hours. Blue airfield edge lights come up really nicely here over the cargo area. There's the building under construction to the left, along with the control tower. So here's a brief look at the Royal Terminal during dusk. As you can see, you've got lovely lighting there on the roof. And the stands are all independently lit, no asobo globes floating around, which is very nice indeed. Here's a close-up of the terminal itself, and you can see the individual jetways are also lit inside and at the end. And here you've got the entrance. This is all quite nicely done, actually. It really brings this to life a little bit more. So here's a look at the ARAMCO building and the apron. Again, plenty of lighting. All properly delineated, no problem there. Well, there's a quick look from another angle. Okay, so here's the view from inside the aircraft cockpit at dusk. This is what you'll see when you park up on the stand. This is the Airbus A320 Phoenix. There's a view from the captain's side. And there's a view looking through the first officer's window. So as you can see, here's the stand with my aircraft on it. I mean, it's all fairly basic, but everything you need is there. It's really good to see the lighting on the Jetways. They just look so much better when they're lit in this way, and it just looks more realistic. And there you can see a Jetway on stand 17 where the doors are actually closed at the end. And there we are looking south across the rest of the ramp. I mean, it's fine, it looks perfectly okay. Terminal looks a bit dark. It would have been nice to see something inside the windows, but you know, currently with the size of the download and the frame rate issues that we have so far, that's probably not necessarily a good thing, I don't know. So let's have a look at the tower. There to the left you've got that building under construction, which has the mandatory red lights. And here the tower, to be honest, looks pretty nice actually. And there you can see the inside lit up, and it's quite impressive to have the red flashing glow on it. So we just moved north, land side of the terminal. You've got some basic lighting, particularly on departures there, but not an awful lot. I mean, the land side area has very basic lighting. But every taxiway that you can see is nicely delineated by the blue airfield edge lights, and it is really good to have green centerline lights as well, certainly on an airport this big. And here are those little signs that are also lit up, which is a nice touch. So a close look at the fire station. You've got the engines outside and they're all lit up, including their blue lights, which is very nice. That just brings a bit of life to this place. It's very nice indeed. So a quick look at the cargo area. Once again, all nicely lit, a little bit quite subtle. The Saudi cargo there. Stand lighting, no Asobo globes, everything being naturally lit, which is really good. It's just such a nice touch when they do it this way. And many airports, this one included, tends to come to life in the darkness hours when it's properly lit. So there's the catering centre with the trucks all lit up as well. So there's a high level view looking southwest. Here you've got the cargo area, and you can see buildings are still lit from landside, which is good. And there you've got the main terminal area here, which all looks pretty impressive. And there we are looking towards the southeast, and you've got the ARAMCO building here, and in the distance you have the Royal Suite. And there you've got the cargo building seen from airside. Okay, let's drop it down to night time now. Okay, 10 PM local time, and as you can see the lighting has come up a little bit more. And here you can now see the centerline lighting and the taxiway lighting a lot better. Nice to see the fire station illuminated in this way. It does look quite effective actually. And they're looking towards the cargo centre. And there's a control tower nicely flashing away in the darkness. And there's the Royal Terminal itself. So as a close-up of the stand, as you can see the stand numbers are nicely highlighted. The overhead lighting looks pretty good. The lighting's come up a little bit, but not by much more. But you can see the ends of the jetways look really quite good. I half expected these lights at the end to be lit up, but they're not. No big deal. There's the stand from another angle, and the airside road, to be honest, looks pretty dark. You know, to be honest, I think he's got the balance right. There are frame rate issues with this place. It really does need to be optimized more, if indeed it can be. There are sceneries that are much more complex than this, where the frame rate is so much better. But maybe he's in a position where he's still learning. There's no doubting the quality of the scenery. Visually it looks really nice, and it's a good representation of this airport from the research that I've done. And the lighting's not bad at all. There's a lot of good things about this. So a quick view from the flight deck. As you can see, not much to see. I've got my nose lights turned off, but the actual parking area here, especially with the terminal in front of us, not an awful lot to see because it's pretty dark. View from the captain's side, and looking across the first officer's window. So a quick view looking north. As you can see, the lighting's perfectly adequate. You're not really going to have much of a problem taxiing around here. And as I said, despite the fact there are some frame rate issues, I would suspect that if you're looking and taxiing from cockpit view, it's going to be a lot easier than using the drone camera in the way that I have. But visually it's fine. The airport is really, really nicely done. So there we are, looking southeast. You got the control tower over there flashing away in the distance, and the jetways are really nice, and the taxiway lighting really helps. And looking out towards the runway 1634 left, 34 left, 16 right, and you got these really nice lit taxiway signs, which are fine. There's a lot of nice subtle lighting here. Okay, so let's bring the dawn up and have a look now. Okay, 6:45 in the morning, we're looking west, sun's behind us, and here's the view of the main terminal complex at dawn. Got a nice red glow on the building, and the desert's quite highlighted as well. There's the cargo complex. There's the ARAMCO centre. And there in the distance, with the sun coming up, you've got the Royal Suite towards the far left, and the fuel farm on the far right there. Okay, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and time to wrap up this review and give you my thoughts. Okay, obviously the first big sort of showstopper in a way is the frame rate. It's not as bad as I've seen in some products, and I think it's workable. As I said, if you're looking through the flight deck when you're landing or taxiing around here and parking up, it's not really going to be that much of an issue. I think it's when you switch to spot view or you're looking at outside views that you might sort of find a few problems. But on the plus side, the scenery's nicely done. The development is good, the building is good, the jetways are very nicely done. They work, although they could use probably a little bit more alignment and sorting out the hood, but there's lots to like about this scenery. They've not done any internal work in the terminal or in the Royal Suite, which again I can understand. I mean, that might add to the frame rate issues. The scenery really does need to be optimized further. I don't know if it's a skill issue with the developer or whether it's the way that this airport has been modeled. As I've said previously, there are airports much more complicated than this, with people and all sorts of other things and animations that don't have this frame rate issue. So there is scope for optimization, I think, really. But is it a nice scenery? Yeah, it's great. Is it worth the money? It is. But like I said, if the developer works on optimizing it more, then they'll make it better, I think, for the customer. But there's a lot to like about it. It's a good, accurate representation of the King Fahd International Airport in Saudi Arabia. There's been a big reliance on sort of low to medium resolution texturing on the ground, certainly landside. I'd like to see landside developed a bit more 3D, and as I said, it would be nice to have some passengers and have some more bits and pieces here, but in order to do that, I think the scenery needs to be optimized more. Nice that it works with GSX. I haven't tested it without GSX loaded, but to be honest, all of the stands and jetways work perfectly well. You don't need GSX to make them work, to be honest. is if you want the additional bits and pieces that GSX allows you to have, then you'll get probably slightly more from the scenery. But yeah, I'd love to have some Arabic people. If you guys have recently looked at the Basra scenery I've reviewed there, the developer there has got some really wonderful static Arabic people around at various places. Be nice to have something like that and have some kind of development, at least maybe airside, and maybe improve the lighting at dusk and at night so that when you park up and look out at the cockpit it's not so dark. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like I've got more criticisms than positives, but it's not really the case. It's still a nice airport, and there are things that make it look nice, certainly after dark. It's another airport that looks good after dark. Could be better, and I'd like to see that improved. But no, overall it's a good airport. The price is pretty good, but it is a big download. Like I said, the install is around between 16 and 18 gigs. The download's about getting on for 5 gigs. But it's a large airport, and it kind of brings this part of the desert to life. So yeah, I like it. I do like it, and I'm going to fly in here, certainly because I want to test the frame rate in the Phoenix or in the 737. But certainly worth a shout, I think. It's different. Nobody else has done it before. And it's good. I think it's worth a look. But it really does need optimization, and hopefully the developer will see that and improve it. So there you have it, folks. It's Dammam, King Fahd International Airport in Saudi Arabia. Oscar Echo Delta Foxtrot. This is a payware scenery by TUWAIQ Designs. Hope I've said that correctly. It's TUWAIQ Designs. This is version 1.1 for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. There is a version available for 2024. Be interesting to see what that looks like. And any of you that have Flight Sim 2024 who maybe want to do this, let me know if you buy it and use it in that version of the sim. Be interested to hear your comments. I've also had a look on Marketplace, and it seems that this scenery is available there. So that being the case, it may be that Xbox users can use this as well. Just putting that out there for you. But currently it's available from Sim Market, and you can get it for €26.39, which equates to roughly $27.71 US, or £22.21 UK. US and UK prices, as ever, are estimates taken from the euro price, and they include VAT or tax at 20%, which of course could vary depending on which country you're in when you make your purchase. I think the price is about right for the work that's been done, and it would certainly get better if the developer optimizes it further. It's a nice product, it's different, and I'm certainly going to test it at some point with an aircraft flying in here. So thanks for joining me, folks. I have recently got hold, or been given, a copy of Isfahan scenery in Iran to have a look at, so that will feature in a review possibly next week. And also the latest version of Riga in Latvia. I have a copy of that too, and also a brand new version of Phuket in Thailand by Siam Flight, a well-known developer who I've reviewed before. So those 3 sceneries I have, and they will feature in reviews in the coming week or next sort of 2 weeks or so. So look out for those. So thanks for joining me. I hope this has helped you if you've been on the fence about this. I certainly had 1 or 2 issues to begin with, but now the scenery is displaying the way it should, and to me it looks great, it looks nice. But there's more development and more optimization to be done for this airport, and hopefully that's going to happen. But if you've been on the fence, I hope this review has helped. So thank you to all my subscribers, and thanks to those people who sort of send me up and say thank you very much. And yeah, I'm here, and I do these reviews to try and help you, the customer, get the best possible bang for your buck, as it were. So thanks for joining me, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next review. Guys, have a good week and a good weekend coming up. Take care, bye bye for now.